In the shadowy canyons of Utah, where the sandstone glows gold at dusk and the air hums with magnetic whispers, Blind Frog Ranch has long been the nexus of unsolved enigmas. Duane Ollinger and his determined crew have unearthed everything from strange metallic anomalies to subterranean caverns lined with radioactive ore. Yet nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared them for the chilling moment when a glittering treasure trove revealed something far darker, a human skull resting among the riches of the unknown. Uneasy calm before discovery the morning began with deceptive calm. The desert stretched endlessly, a landscape of stillness broken only by the wire of drones and the measured thud of drilling. Duane, his face etched with equal parts fatigue and curiosity, had been chasing one last lead from the quantum scans, beneath the northeastern quadrant of the property, where electromagnetic readings had spiked for weeks, lay an underground cavity unlike anything mapped before. Eric Drummond, the team's meticulous geologist, reviewed the subsurface data. The layers suggested non-natural formations, flat, aligned surfaces that hinted at structure. "If this isn't man-made," he'd muttered, "then nature has a strange sense of geometry." The team descended with precision. Cameras rolled, dust swirled, and the hum of equipment echoed through the chamber. Beneath 60 feet of compacted clay, Chad Ollinger's excavator hit something hollow. The sound was distinct, metallic, dense, but not rock. The team froze. A chamber of secrets, they brushed away centuries of sediment. A metallic plate gleamed under the dim floodlight. Unlike the Aztec relics found in previous seasons, this was smoother, industrial even, yet ancient in patina. Its edges were etched with circular grooves, as though shaped by tools unknown to modern machinery. Beneath it lay a stone chest, sealed, bound by time. Duane's pulse quickened. "We've been chasing treasure, but what if the treasure's been chasing us?" he murmured, almost to himself. They pried the chest open with a calculated mix of caution and reverence. The scent of age and mineral decay filled the air. Inside was a layer of dull coins fused together by oxidation, clusters of iridescent stones, and beneath those, a skull. Not bleached white, not fossilized, but brown-gray, partially preserved, as if trapped in an oxygen-free environment. The eye sockets were deep and haunting, one side fractured. The skull bore markings, precise, deliberate carvings that glimmered faintly in the lamplight. The skull that shouldn't exist. Eric's training screamed at him to rationalize. It could be an artifact left by early miners, perhaps even Spanish explorers. Yet the carvings contradicted that. The designs matched none of the colonial or indigenous symbology of the region. Instead, they resembled geometric sequences, the kind found in sacred geometry and quantum mapping theories. Josh Feldman, the team's documentarian, focused the lens closer. As the camera zoomed, faint inscriptions appeared, concentric triangles intertwined with what seemed like coded etchings. "These aren't decorative," Eric finally said. "They're coordinates, or formulas." Duane took a step back. Coordinates to what? The silence that followed was thick, as though the desert itself held its breath. Metal that defied science. Beside the skull was a collection of metallic fragments. When Eric ran his portable analyzer, the readings defied comprehension. The alloy contained traces of iridium and osmium, both extraterrestrial in rarity. "This isn't from Earth's crust," Eric whispered. "At least, not any known mandible formation in this hemisphere." The juxtaposition was staggering. Human remains intertwined with celestial metal. It suggested a connection, either symbolic or literal, between mankind and the stars. Could the skull have belonged to someone who discovered something forbidden, or someone who was buried with it to conceal a truth? Duane's expression hardened. Whatever this is, it's older than any record we've seen. Maybe it's not about gold or Aztec relics anymore. Echoes from below. As they examined further, the atmosphere shifted. The temperature inside the chamber dropped sharply. Chad's flashlight flickered. The radiation meter spiked, its needle trembling near the red zone. "Back up," Duane commanded, his voice cutting through the static. The readings subsided as quickly as they had surged. Yet in those brief moments, the ground beneath their boots had pulsed, almost rhythmically, like a heartbeat buried deep within the earth. Josh replayed the drone footage. At the exact timestamp of the radiation surge, a faint flash appeared near the northern wall. Not reflection, not dust. A line of light, moving horizontally, as if something mechanical had briefly activated. "Maybe we disturbed it," Chad said quietly. "Whatever it was, it's not dead." History's ghosts resurfaced later that night. Under the crimson wash of a Utah sunset, the team gathered around the campfire. Duane couldn't shake the unease. For years, Blind Frog Ranch had teased them with mysteries: liquid mercury streams, gallium anomalies, energy distortions. But this was personal. The skull felt human, and yet it didn't. They sent preliminary images to an anthropologist at the University of Utah. Hours later, a single message returned. "This bone density isn't consistent with Homo sapiens. Whatever you found, it's older, much older." The team sat in stunned silence. If true, it implied that the desert's hidden tunnels weren't just remnants of lost civilizations. They might be the archives of something pre-human. Something that once walked these lands long before recorded history began. The magnetic storm the following day brought chaos. Overnight, the equipment logs showed magnetic interference so strong that every GPS device within a mile radius had reset. The readings pointed to the same chamber where the skull was found. Eric theorized a natural cause. Perhaps an iron-rich vein reacting to solar activity. But the data didn't match. "It's pulsing at intervals," he explained. "It's being controlled, not random." When they re-entered the chamber, they discovered that the metallic fragments had shifted. The skull now rested at a slightly different angle, as though it had been nudged. The sediment surrounding it was freshly disturbed. No one had touched it. The cameras from the night feed revealed only static during the critical hours. The hidden passage. Duane ordered a deeper scan beneath the chamber floor. The results were staggering. A narrow passageway descending another 20 feet, lined with reflective material. Chad volunteered to explore it. Harnessed and cautious, he lowered himself into the darkness. His voice crackled through the radio. "You're not gonna believe this. There's light reflecting down here, like mirrors." At the end of the shaft, Chad found what appeared to be another chamber, smaller, circular, and carved with the same geometric etchings as the skull. In the center stood a pedestal, metallic and cold, its surface engraved with spirals converging toward a central point. Embedded in that point was a small, translucent stone, glowing faintly from within. When Chad touched it, every light in the upper chamber flickered out. A power that shouldn't beat the air vibrated with low-frequency hums, as if the stone had awakened an ancient resonance. Radiation levels spiked again. Josh's drone collapsed mid-flight. Duane shouted for a full evacuation. Outside, the desert horizon rippled, waves of electromagnetic distortion shimmering like heat mirages. The team could feel it through their bodies, a pulse synced with the Earth's own rhythm. When it subsided, the night returned to silence. Hours later, when they re-entered cautiously, the glowing stone had dimmed, but the skull was gone. Only an indentation in the dust remained. Haunted evidence. The footage from the chamber revealed the unthinkable. Between 2:13 and 2:14 a.m., during a brief blackout, a human-shaped distortion appeared on camera. Not a person, an outline of heat and shadow, crouched where the skull had been. It lingered for a moment before fading completely. Eric tried to rationalize it as equipment interference, but the thermal signature showed otherwise. It radiated body heat. Didn't sleep that night. "We might have just opened something meant to stay buried," he said quietly, staring into the fire. The unanswered questions. When experts reviewed the materials weeks later, the analysis confirmed their fears. The skull's isotopic composition didn't align with any known human timeline. The metallic fragments matched meteorite structures found in Siberia and Antarctica. And the stone? It emitted a frequency similar to deep earth seismic hums, something alive in a geological sense. Blind Frog Ranch had once promised gold. Instead, it delivered a haunting convergence of history, myth, and science, a vault where human and non-human legacies seemed to intertwine. Duane, standing before the Utah horizon, looked out toward the dig site one final time. The desert was silent again, the winds eerily calm. But beneath that stillness lay secrets older than time itself. Perhaps the treasure wasn't meant to enrich, but to warn. Epilogue. A whisper from the past. Weeks later, a private lab in New Mexico reported something chilling. The carvings on the skull, once dismissed as symbolic, were decoded into numeric sequences, coordinates that pointed directly back to Blind Frog Ranch. At those coordinates, ground-penetrating radar revealed another chamber, unopened, waiting, pulsing faintly in rhythm with the planet's magnetic field. The message seemed clear, yet maddeningly obscure. The first chamber was a test. The real secret still sleeps below. And so, Blind Frog Ranch remains what it has always been, an eternal question mark carved into the desert, where treasure gleams beside bones, and the line between discovery and curse grows thinner with every day.